Hey guys, this is Madman Mars 2000 with your TNA Sacrifice 2008 pay-per-view results. Backstage, a limo has just arrived at the arena. JB goes to the limo and Kurt Angle comes out. Angle says that he was informed by his doctor not to wrestle tonight. He says that as much as it pains him, he cannot compete tonight in the main event for the TNA World Heavyweight title. He says that he isn't young anymore. He talked about winning the Olympic gold medal with a broken neck, competing at WrestleMania with a broken neck, and even winning the world title with a broken neck. He said that he can't afford to risk his health, and that is the deal tonight. Footage of Scott Steiner arriving in his limo was shown. Lauren informed Steiner that Angle can't compete tonight. Steiner said that this is the first he's heard about it and thinks it's better this way, since he was supposed to face Samoa Joe one-on-one anyway. Rick Steiner then gets out of the limo, and Steiner said that Joe doesn't stand a chance against him. Kevin Nash then gets out of the other side of the limo, and Lauren looks shocked. Footage is then shown of TNA World Heavyweight Champion Samoa Joe arriving in his limo. Joe said that it was unfortunate that Angle can't compete tonight. JB then asked him what he thought of Kevin Nash arriving with Scott Steiner, and Joe says nothing and angrily walks off. The TNA Sacrifice opener is the Deuces Wild Tag Tournament quarterfinal match number 1. Team 3D defeated Sting and James Storm via pinfall to advance in the tournament. Throughout the match, James Storm did nothing but drink beer. The finish saw James Storm sitting on the turnbuckle drinking beer. Sting got fed up with him and slammed him off the turnbuckle through a table which had been set up by Team 3D earlier. Sting simply walked off, allowing Team 3D to pin James Storm to advance in the tournament. Lauren interviews Frank Trigg about Angle's injury, and Trigg says that with Angle out, he is now picking Samoa Joe to win. Up next is the Deuces Wild Tag Tournament quarterfinal match number 2. Christian Cage and Rhino defeated Robert Roode and Booker T to advance in the tournament. The finish saw Robert Roode attempt to hit the payoff on Rhino, but Rhino reversed it and hit the gore on Robert Roode for the pinfall victory. After the match, Booker T came back into the ring and raised the hands of Cage and Rhino out of respect. Booker then went to the outside and grabbed a steel chair. He came back into the ring and nailed Cage and Rhino with the chair as they were attempting to exit the ring. TNA officials hit the ring and tell Booker to drop the chair and leave. Booker T does so to a booing crowd. Backstage, Scott Steiner is trying to get Nash to help him defeat Samoa Joe. Nash says he'll think about it. He then shakes Steiner's hand. Up next is the Deuces Wild Tag Tournament quarterfinal match number 3. The LAX defeated Matt Morgan and Kip James via pinfall to advance in the tournament. The finish saw Matt Morgan attempt to hit Hernandez with a big boot. Hernandez moves and Morgan hits Kip James with the boot instead. Hernandez then hits Kip James with a boot of his own to cover him for the pinfall victory, and the LAX advance in the tournament. Backstage, AJ Styles talks about teaming with Super Eric to face Awesome Kong and BG James. Kurt Angle walks in and shoves AJ. He demanded to know where Karen was and what is going on between her and AJ. AJ told Kurt that he is not going to answer any of these questions and walks off. Up next is the Deuces Wild Tag Tournament quarterfinal match number 4. AJ Styles and Super Eric defeated BG James and Awesome Kong via pinfall to advance in the tournament. The finish saw AJ Styles pin BG James with a small package to advance in the tournament. Mike Tenay says that Jim Cornette will make an announcement concerning the main event later tonight. Backstage, Lauren interviews Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner said that he is here to support his brother Scott in the biggest match of his career. He then starts barking, which freaks Lauren out. Up next is the Terror Dome number 1 contendership match for the X Division title. Curryman versus Sanjay Dutt versus Consequences Creed versus Shark Boy versus Jimmy Rave versus Kaz versus Alex Shelley versus Chris Sabin versus Johnny Devine versus Jay Lethal. Before the match started, Jim Cornette appeared at the top of the ramp. He says that the winner of this match will not only get a shot at the X Division title at a later date, but will also replace Kurt Angle in the main event tonight for the TNA World title. The way to win this match is to exit the Terror Dome via a small circular opening in the center of the Terror Dome's roof. The finish saw Johnny Devine attempt to climb to the dome ceiling. Kaz grabbed Divine's foot and Divine fell off. He landed on all the other participants in the match, taking them out. Kaz then simply climbed the dome and exited to win the match. Backstage, JB interviews Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe says that Kaz is deserving of the main event spot. JB then asked Samoa Joe about Kevin Nash, and Samoa Joe snapped. He said that he doesn't care about Scott, Rick, or Nash, and if Kevin Nash crosses him tonight, he will make him think twice about it. Up next is the Deuces Wild Tag Tournament semifinal match number 1. Team 3D defeated Christian Cage and Rhino to advance to the finals. The finish saw Divine hand Ray a kendo stick. Rhino then gores Devon and goes for the cover, but the ref is distracted by Divine and no cover is made. Ray then nails Rhino with the kendo stick. Devon covers Rhino and gets the win, and Team 3D advances to the finals of the tournament. Backstage, JB interviews Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash tells Borash to follow him while he goes to see Samoa Joe. Deuces Wild Tag Tournament semifinal match number 2. The LAX defeated AJ Styles and Super Eric to advance to the finals. The finish saw AJ roll up Homicide, but with Salinas distracting the referee, Hector Guerrero came in and reversed the small package, allowing Homicide to pin Styles. Homicide gets the pin and the LAX move on to the finals. Samoa Joe's dancers are interviewed. They said that they are there to support Samoa Joe. The TNA Knockouts Makeover Battle Royal match is up next. Gail Kim versus ODB versus Tracy Brooks versus Velvet Sky versus Angelina Love versus Jacqueline versus Christy Hemme versus Roxy Laveau versus Rocket Khan versus Salinas. The match starts out as a battle royal, and the 2 remaining knockouts will compete in a ladder match. The winner will get a TNA Knockouts Championship match at a later date, and the loser will have her head shaved. Now, because Gail Kim won the immunity pole match on Impact, she is the only knockout that is guaranteed not to have her head shaved in this match. By the time the Battle Royal portion of the match was done, Gail Kim and Roxy Laveau were the last 2 knockouts standing, which means they will be competing in the ladder match portion of the match. Angelina Love, who was the last knockout to be eliminated in the Battle Royal, must stay at ringside. If Roxy Laveau wins this ladder match, then Angelina Love must take Gail Kim's place and have her head shaved. After a bunch of distractions from Love and Sky, Gail Kim is able to climb the ladder and win the match. She is now the number 1 contender to the TNA Knockouts Championship, and Roxy Laveau must now have her head shaved. She is seated in the barber's chair and begins to cry as her head is shaved. Tracy Brooks holds Roxy's hand as she is shaved, bald. All of the other fan-favorite knockouts are there to comfort and support Roxy, while Love and Velvet Sky taunt Roxy by grabbing strands of her hair and showing it off to the crowd and laughing at her. She is completely shaved bald. She stands up, and the crowd applauds her. The other knockouts raise her hand, and the crowd starts a huge Roxy chant. Backstage, Kevin Nash walks into Samoa Joe's locker room. Joe says that he doesn't need Nash, and if Nash shows up in his match tonight, he will break him. Deuces Wild Tag Tournament Finals for the TNA Tag Team Championships. The LAX defeated Team 3D via pinfall to become the new Tag Team Champions. The finish saw Hernandez hit the border toss on Devon. Homicide then connects with a frog splash for the pinfall victory, and the LAX are now the new TNA Tag Team Champions. Up next is the main event of Sacrifice, the triple threat match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Samoa Joe defeated Scott Steiner and Kaz to retain the TNA World title. The finish saw Samoa Joe hit the Muscle Buster on Scott Steiner for the pinfall victory. After the match, Samoa Joe is handed the TNA World title and holds it high in the air to celebrate. Those were your TNA Sacrifice 2008 pay-per-view results. I'm Madman Mars 2000.